Good morning, everybody. Me, James, Kevin, and Fritz are together today. We want to do a quick, maybe not so quick video on just some different topics that are concerning us in today's environment. And we're going to go over some equipment as far as explaining different things with get home bags, just from what we've learned. And we're going to do a real cool, fun question and answer period. So just tune in. Here we go. So Kevin asked the question of who we are in the Bible as far as the people of God. Are we the heroes like David and Joseph and those kind of people? And James had said something funny from the Lost Books. Can you repeat that? I mean, it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, I was looking at, I downloaded an app called the Lost Books of the Bible, and I was looking at the one story about the tribe of Judah, and it was talking about the characteristics of Judah. It was talking about how fast he was. He could chase down a lion, he could tear apart a bear with his bare hands. And, I mean, I was looking at it like, wow, here we are. We're in the last days, and we're supposed to have these same qualities and attributes.
Right.
And I don't know no brother that's running down the street chasing no bear or nothing like that.
I can't even make it on the treadmill.
But when Kevin was asking, where are the Davids and where are the Samsons in this earth? And yet we say that we are the chosen, that we are them. What are we showing this world that is different? I mean, they're even coming out with all kinds of superhero movies. Every time you turn around, they got different. They got all kinds
Captain
of
America, Black Panther, Spider-Man.
Iron Man.
So we're attuned to looking at heroes,
right,
but not realizing that we are heroes.
Right.
And they got those hero stories from about us, really.
Right.
They just changed
The narrative.
the narrative. Thank you. It's very good.
But like when we saw Fritz in the gym, I don't think we realized the impact we have on each other as far as an example and motivation.
Right.
Not that we've arrived, and that we're running around with 12 packs and pecs and no, it's just that we're trying.
And the strength in numbers.
Right, there's strength in numbers.
When you see your brother that you know, it makes you stronger mentally, and we're coming from a dead mental state. So this increases our mentality to where we should have been.
Yeah, because it's about the what they say the squad, the unit, the team, the family, the community. And I think as far as Black people in concern, we seem to be the last ones to really come together as a community. We're still so separate, but we are definitely stronger together.
Right.
Definitely, and I know it was a design, back generations before in slavery to separate the African community. We were in the African American then. We were just African.
Right.
To break us down, starting with the man. So you don't even hardly see Black men get together and talk. But to separate us, degrade us, humiliate us, and kind of inflict this shame personality. To where we can't even address areas that we need to work on because we're so busy putting on the facade, that I'm strong in all areas.
I know when we first started, we were talking about what we bring to the table individually, and I think that's a good starting point because everybody don't have the same gifts, talents, strengths, or weaknesses.
And we're not supposed to.
But when you can't even self-identify with what you're good in and what you're weak in, then that right there keeps you from even wanting to be a part of a group. Because, you see everybody else is bringing this talent to the table, this talent, this gift, and you still are struggling with where do I belong in there? So what happens is you allow yourself to say, I got to find out who I am first.
Right, and we know God has created each one of us with at least one talent. But I guarantee we all have multiple skills.
Right.
But the devil has done such a number on us that we don't even realize it.
Right.
we can't even identify our own strengths.
Right. Right.
It's almost like the 5 wise and the 5 foolish, you know, with the talents to me, and when we talk about that. You got these talents. What are you going to do with them? You know, are you going to hide them, or are you going to, you know, expose those talents so they can be used in quality ways and helping others? You know what I mean?
Well, you will hide them if you don't find no value in the talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
If you can't, I don't know nobody who has something valuable and digs a hole and puts it in. And when you find out that there's value in something, first thing you want to do is show it off. You want somebody to see, look,
Yeah.
I got this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I can do
And
this.
then, you know what I mean? It just builds you up.
Mhm.
Sometimes now that's a good thing. Sometimes it can cause you to be put in a place of pride. But you never find somebody who has something that is worth something to them, and they don't want to show it off. I haven't found anybody.
Yeah.
Very true.
And then the other thing is, we do come together in numbers, but it's programmed to a degree, and it's usually under so-called secret societies.
Right.
You know, your Masons, your Greek sororities and fraternities, and we itself, once we get into those groups, because they build together, and you know, you go through something, and you build, but we don't do that outside of that realm, because that realm is really controlled by another entity in a certain sense.
Yeah. And it's just interesting how not only like Kevin says, we tend to hide our talents almost, and let alone we don't even practice with our talents to perfect it. But then the other flip side is we totally ignore the areas that we're weak in that we need to work on. I mean, and that's just the balance of who we are. We have strengths and weaknesses, and we need to own both of them. You know,
with a balance too. It has to be a balance. Because you can't do more of one and not the other, and then because that one would take preference over that one.
Right.
So you got to understand that balance that you got to have with it.
No, we went to the gym the other day, and when we were doing those pull down things, I noticed something about myself that I got to work on now. I noticed that I favor one arm.
Yeah.
But I also noticed that one arm I favor is way more sore than the other. So that means that arm is getting built up, but now I got to turn my attention to the other arm.
Right.
And I think that sometimes, when you talk about the balance, you can't separate your strengths from your weaknesses. You got to be able to recognize that your strengths sometimes make up for your weaknesses. You know what I mean? But you gotta have that balance of understanding, of knowing that I got this thing over here that I need to build up. You know what I mean? But I also got this thing over here now that I gotta rest this. I gotta rest this. So
Right.
But you know that keeps you in balance. And also just knowing that, you know, now, you know, with me, it put me in the frame of, okay, now what can I do more with this arm? So now I want to try to do more things with
That's
this
what I
arm.
was gonna say. Because growing up, I played basketball, so you know I was right-handed, so I knew I had to build up my left hand.
Right.
You know, so when I go in the house, I open the door with my left hand. When I went to the cabinet, I use my left hand. You know, use the salt and pepper with my left hand. You have to. It's a mental strategy I try to use, and that's what we have to seek a balance in everything that we do. But you know, we have to. It has to be a mental state to start. You know, to get to that point.
You know, and I think balance is really the core of our group. We're trying to create balance and strength with the time that God has given us. You know, to become everything God wants us to become.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key. And I think once we grasp that in our mindset, that would help us in a lot of our areas that we have weaknesses and we have our strengths.
Yeah.
You know, because he is the key. I mean, without him, I mean, where would we be? He's the creator of everything. So why would he?
I mean, if you look at the whole journey of the children of Israel, I mean, God took them from one uncomfortable learning experience to the next. You know, rebuilding them, and, you know, And as you know, we were talking about, you know, as it was then, as it is now,
Yes.
for us, we're still that people,
Mhm.
you know. But are we? Because there was still that element of choice, because we saw that some of the children of Israel didn't go.
So,
Some of them died,
Sure,
you know,
they died in the road.
way early in the story, you know,
Mhm.
because they didn't want to accept the challenge
Mhm.
of being better. Because that's really what it is.
Look, when I think about that, what you're just saying, I think about how he could have took them from wilderness to promised land in one day,
Yes,
1 hour,
yes,
1 minute.
yes, yeah.
But he did that in order to show them what was in their heart. Same thing with us being in bondage for 400 years. He could have took us out of bondage
Yes.
after during the days of the Emancipation Proclamation and all those other things.
Right.
Right. We got written things that said we were free, but we weren't totally free. But he could have took us straight from slavery to freedom in no time. But we had to learn what was on the inside of us. And I think that everything we do, the process of learning, it doesn't go from one day to the next day. It's precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, until we get the whole of what not only what God intends for our life, but it's also so that we can have some structure and balance in our own life. It's like setting a business plan.
Yeah.
You set a business plan because you see you know what you want, but you see that down the road, but you know you're not going to get there overnight. So you set that plan and you work inch by inch, mile by mile to achieve the goal. And so I think our lives as a whole, and the plan of God as a whole for us, is to get us to see what's on the inside of us and how we conform in the time frame that we have to His will for His glory. And that's what I think that we should always keep on the center of our mind, is that the life that we're in right now, it has a beginning, it has an end. God fills all that up in the middle, and He already knows everything that's going to happen. But we have to get from here to here in His time, and so that's
Absolutely.
When you say that, I hear the phrase, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
right.
You know what I mean? And God has a plan for your life. He's already predestined your destination, where you're going to be from the beginning and the end. Which He is the Alpha and the Omega, so He knows.
Yep.
And anything in between. So, yeah.
You just have to coincide with His plan.
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't realize that, especially when you're young, or if you haven't been brought up in the so-called church to a degree. You know, you don't really make your plans according to what you think God said. A lot of times you just kind of plan as you go along, or you plan ahead. You know, you plan for your job, your way you're going to live. But you know, you include God to a certain extent, but how much of it, you know?
Right.
It's
Right.
plan for you.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, and
You know what you want to do in your heart, and a lot of times you're God led. In most cases, you're God led because He's going to bring you around to wherever you're supposed to be anyway. You just don't realize it at a young age.
So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to take a pause so
Okay.
that we can do segments on this, so it's not too long in one segment.
okay,
So we can pause it and start it back up with our next topic. If you want to hit the,
we can. I mean, you know, sure. Just go ahead and hit the.
Cool.